Hey, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric, and what we're doing right now is we're pretty much starting to get our haying equipment together. A lot of guys in the area have started already on their first cut, but they're calling for upper 80s, low 90s right into next week. And I'm afraid if we cut too early, we normally do two cuts. We do the first cut in dry, second cut in wrapped for silage, baleage. But I'm afraid if these guys that are cutting right now with no moisture, no rain or anything, is going to end up burning off their hay ground. And then they're going to be in a pickle and wish that they might have waited just a tad bit longer. The ones that'll do all right are the ones that are the real big farms that can put the manure so it's something liquid back on top of it quick. But the rest of them out there, you know, I can see a hay shortage this year coming up if the weather holds like it is. But we're going to start talking about the different types of equipment. And I'll also let you know the new purchase that I just bought. I bought a Frontier 3-point hitch disc mower. It's a 9-footer. Excuse me. I bought a Kuhn 4 years ago, and that's been one of the best mowers, but it's an 8-foot cut. Now for the last 2 years I went out and I bought used so that we had two cutters going all the time, because we do 5 and now 6 farms, you know, twice around. So with just two of us, there's 2 mowers, 2 rakes, 2 balers. We just start going tag teaming it. But the last 2 disc binds that I bought, disc mowers, 3-point hitch, didn't last the full season. Even with the proper lubrication, checking everything, they were just worn out. And I was flip-flopping back and forth. Do I take a chance again and spend $3 grand? It wouldn't last me a year, or should I update? And I was looking at a John Deere Moco, and it was a 11'6" disc bind, and they wanted $8,400 for that, and that was a 2004. So I'm thinking it's quite a few years of being used, and if the parts weren't kept up on it, the bearings weren't kept up on it, you know, it would be in the shop more than it would be out in the field. And like the disc mower that I bought last year for $3 grand, it ended up taking out the whole gearbox. So I mean, I would have had to replace the whole gearbox on that, and that was $3,500. You know, and then everything else will still be used on it, your discs, your turtles, everything. So when I was down to our local John Deere dealership looking at the Moco, I happened to spot this Frontier. And I'll tell you, you can't tell the difference between that and the Kuhn other than a different color. And it's got the same color as John Deere, and there was a John Deere 8-footer sitting there. The only difference I saw between the two was one was a little shorter and one was a little different shade of green. But other than that, it looked just like the Kuhn. You know, the Frontier and the John Deere looked identical. And I knew if I bought the John Deere, you're buying John Deere green. So automatically that's going to jack the price up. But a friend of mine, the salesman there, Donnie, I bought a lot of stuff over the years from him. I asked him, I said, what do you got to have for that Frontier out there, brand new 9-foot? And he said, I'm not sure if it's ready to go yet. I said, looks like it's all put together, ready to go. It just needs to be picked up. So he quoted me a price of $12,500. And I sat there and did the math. I'm spending $3,000 a year on junk. You know, I've got 2 parts machines now that are worthless other than maybe turtles and blades. I told him, go ahead, run it. And within a half an hour, he said, when did you want to get it? See, normally they deliver, but they've been backed up so much. He told me, he said, it might be 2 weeks before we can get it out to you. I said, no, can't do that, because I want to get it hooked up and set up for the Deutz, the 7085 4-wheel drive tractor. And if I got to cut the shaft, I want to have time to put everything, align everything the way it's supposed to go before I need to start dropping hay. The worst time to try to get your equipment fine tuned is at the beginning of hay season. You try to get it done before then, have everything set so it's you hook on and you go. Now I can tell you with the Kuhn, I've had that 4 years, and the only thing I've ever replaced on that are blades. I keep it greased. I keep and I'll show you what you need to watch out for if you get into the disc mowers. Now the only difference between the disc mower and the disc bind, actually there's two things. The disc mower is 3-point hitch. The disc bind is pull behind. And they all come in different sizes. Everything from a 7-footer right up through to whatever size you want. The other difference is that, like in the John Deere Mocos, and I think the New Hollands have it now, it kind of snaps the stalk so that it breaks it up, kind of like what the crimpers used to do on the old sickle mowers that I had, the New Holland hay binds years ago. They went through a crimper and it helped dry them out faster. So when we get ready to start setting up the Deutz, I'll let you see the new Frontier that we just bought. We're going to put the Kuhn, which is 8'7". Yeah, the Kuhn is 8 foot something, and the Frontier is 9 foot something. I'm not quite sure without looking at the paperwork. But we'll show you the hookup. The Kuhn is going on the 2640 John Deere. That's where it seems to do well. It's got loaded tires, high flotation. And the big thing is it's got great brakes. I debated whether to put this Frontier on the 2140 because she's got the high flotation and everything, but the downfall is she doesn't have tires filled with calcium chloride, so you don't have the weight. So the tipping point, you have to be really, really careful. Now my Deutz, the DX 7085, that's got weighted rear tires, plus it's 4-wheel drive. It doesn't even know it's there, other than, you know, you can see it. But it just above idle, it goes well. It's 1,000 RPM. No, it's a 540 is on that one. The Moco I looked at was 1,000. But you probably already know, if you guys have John Deere tractors, that most of them just pull a pin and you flip them, and the 1,000 shaft is on the inside. So you can have 540 and 1,000 just by flipping the shaft and putting the lock ring back in. So stick around and we'll start going through the stuff. Claude right now has gotten the one baler, the 335. That's the 4x4. That's all ready to go. I had to buy a bearing for it today. That's all the only issue it had. The Kuhn, that's just checking the oil, giving her a good grease, checking the knives. My baler, the 5x5 John Deere, that was doing great up until the end of the season. So that should be ready to go. A little bit of cleanup just once over, and grease the piss out of it and lube all the chains. That's one thing I can't, mention enough. And I never understood it when I was younger, when I was a younger farmer, because I didn't heed the advice of the elders, and that was preventative maintenance is a heck of a lot cheaper and less time consuming than letting it go until it costs you big money. Grease is cheap when you think about it. 90-weight oil is cheap when you think about it. Hydraulic fluid is cheap when you think about it. But if you run your systems low, or you don't keep them greased, or you don't have any oil in some of these gearboxes, you're going to smoke them. And then you're going to be looking at $4 plus. So I'll get more into it as we start pulling the equipment out. All right. I'll give you a picture of the new Frontier that I just bought. See, a 3-point hitch. And it's pretty simple, where you just hook your 3-point arms there, and then you have the center pin here. You've got the rope to release, because this will come into a lock. When you lift that up, it'll lock on, and then you just pull the rope to release. You can adjust the spring to how much tension you want for a float. If you got rougher ground, sometimes it's better to tighten her up a little bit so she's not hitting hard. Same idea as the coon. You know, the turtles are the same. The knives look to be the same. See, I was going to put it on that, but I think with the tires not weighted, I think she may be a little tippy. But yeah, this is where you add your gear oil and check it. They greased it all up for me. They said it was all ready to go. But we still do a once over. And we still have to adjust it so that it fits the Deutz perfectly. Because each tractor has got a different adjustment. You know, one side does not fit all. Alright, so that's the new addition to the farm.